Everyone, the time is 6 p.m. I would like to call our work session to order. Please note Councilwoman Daniels is, our legislative session to order. I'd like to call the legislative session to order at 6 p.m. Please note that Councilwoman Daniels will be joining us this evening by phone. Mr. Parker, could you please share an announcement followed by roll call?
Good evening, everyone. We just want to make sure that everyone in attendance is being heard. We want you to be heard. So for that to happen, we need everyone to make sure that they are close to the microphone when speaking and speaking clearly. Again, because we want everyone to be heard. Thank you. Ms. Daniels. Ms. Green.
Present.
Mr. Mattson.
Here.
Mr. Majors.
Here.
Ms. Rawls.
Here.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Present.
And Ms. Bowers.
Present. Thank you. The invocation this evening will be led by Councilwoman Green.
Thank you, President Bowers. If we could all take a moment to congratulate the graduating class of 2022. Congratulations for making it to the finish line, and we would like to wish you the best on the next steps of your journey. Also, if we could take a moment of silence for all the families that were affected by the fire on 15th Street here in Harrisburg this past week, as well as take time to keep everyone in your thoughts and prayers that are in need at the moment. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. The Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Councilman Majors.
Everyone could please stand. That's able.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilwoman Green and Councilman Majors. Our communications this evening will come from essay winners from Heeding God's Call Against Gun Violence. I believe Mr. Eric Jackson is present on behalf of Heeding God's Call. You could please visit one of our microphones.
To everyone, Councilman Bowers and all distinguished panelists, good evening. Pleasure to greet you on behalf of Heeding God's Call to End Gun Violence, organization since 2009 to stop the end of bringing gun violence to an end, to reduce it, to bring more awareness. It's a faith-based organization and movement. I am the chair of the Harrisburg chapter. I intended for students from Harrisburg High School, the winners from the essay contest regarding gun violence, to attend tonight. Thought at least 4 to 5 would be here along with their teacher, Ms. Myers. But they're not present, so if I may just take just about 60 seconds just to say that we know that we've all been impacted by gun violence, both here and nationally, in terms of being on the other side of grief. And we intend, on behalf of Heeding God's Call, to involve the youth as much as possible. One of our major activities on the course of the year is to display the memorial to the lost on the lawns of churches and other buildings in the city, as well as having a Gun Violence Awareness Day. So the projection for this year was to involve the youth, and so they wrote essays. The winner was able to share his winning essay at our Gun Violence Awareness Day, which began with a rally at Kingdom Embassy church at 4th and Maclay, and then in the rain, we walked down to Bethel Temple. It is an interfaith organization, so whether you're Muslim or Jewish or Christian, everyone's welcome to the table to participate in the Ramas. And while I'm here and taking the opportunity, I see Commissioner Carter there and Mayor Williams and the City Council. I hope that one of the things that will happen before the next school year comes in is to have some type of active shooter training planned for the year. Having been a retiree of the Air National Guard in Middletown, that I would reach out to the commander of the base there, also with the the mayor, commissioner of police department, as well as the superintendent of schools. So as you are hearing it tonight, I will be back in touch probably by email to see if there could be some collaborative effort to bring some type of training to teachers and students, because we never know when mass shootings may occur. But not only that, that we need to also just address some of the trauma that our students are dealing with within our schools post-pandemic, and actually we're still in it. And so there are some different trainings and different things for children to be aware and to take care of them, because their minds and their spirits and their souls, just like ours, are important to us. So I thank you for this time and opportunity to come and just share with you in regard to what we're trying to do with youth. And we look forward to connecting with Honorable Jocelyn Rawls and some of the future endeavors in the city. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. And if the students arrive before our meeting, we can certainly take time and allow them to share their essays. So thank you. At this time, we will open the floor for courtesy of the floor. Is there anyone in the far right section who would like to offer public comment? Anyone? Excuse me, if you could please state your name and your address for the meeting record. And just a reminder, you have 2 minutes to share your comments. Mr. Parker will serve as our timekeeper.
My name is Jacqueline Moore, 21 South 7th Street.
Ma'am, if you could please speak into the microphone.
I'm not sure if it's on. If you could
Yeah.
press the little gray button. No. Okay, if you could just speak into it.
Okay, I usually talk loud enough, but okay, I guess.
Thank you.
My name is Jacqueline Marshall. I'm at 321 South 7th Street, Harrisburg, 17113. Tonight, I'm here on behalf of Mrs. Evelyn Majors. She's one of the seniors here in the city. She had asked me to come because she's unable to get around well. So she asked me to come regarding the monies that's been allocated to the city. And she's requesting monies for the seniors for housing repairs, senior citizen centers, and whatever will be available for the seniors, to remember the seniors when this money is being talked about. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the far right section that would like to offer public comment? Seeing no one? In the next right section, is there anyone that would like to offer public comment? Okay, if you could please come to the mic and share your name and your address with us before sharing your comment, we would appreciate it.
Master Singleton, 84 years old, 2334 Brisbane Street, Harrisburg, New York. Pennsylvania. I came here for my Heinz Center and need funds for us to keep our shelter open. I've been there for about 5 years now. And that's the only place I feel comfortable, somewhere to go, instead of being depressed. I would appreciate you people don't kick us to the curb. Please think about it. We are seniors. I know you got people that are seniors, you got family that are seniors. I appreciate you looking at it real carefully and help us. In God's name, I ask you this. Amen.
Ma'am, could you repeat your first name, please?
My first name is Francis with an ES.
Thank you.
Thank you. You'd like to offer public comment? Please come to the microphone.
Yeah, my name is Brian Kopp. I live at 1725 Market Street. Same thing, came here with a senior center. Let me say, a couple years ago, Channel 8, WGAL, came and did a video, okay, of me and the other people playing cards, of which some passed away. But anyway, no, they came in to show the public, okay, how Heinz Medical Center, okay, is helping the seniors, and it was like 102 degrees out that day. They were saying about how things. And let me just say this: if you do not give any support, any financial support, the center is probably going to go on, right? And I'd hate to see Channel 8 come in to give another report of how there's no funds to help the seniors.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the right section that would like to offer public comment?
I am Charles William C.W. Coick. I live at 2222 North 4th Street. And I got to know the senior center 5 years ago, and I really appreciate it. I'm a recovering diabetic and a bunch of other things that aren't good, but it's nice having a place to come to sit and be well fed and have good fellowship and friendship. Knowing that I am part of a micro community within the city. So thank you for listening.
Sir, could you give me your last name again, please?
Surely. It is Cohick, C-O-H-I-C-K.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the right section that would like to offer public comment? Seeing no one, anyone in the middle section?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ann Beck, and I reside at 181 Beacon Drive, but I have other properties here in the city. I'm so proud just looking at the faces that I see. I'm just so proud being an Alabama girl and a Bennett Bell. And I'm just so proud to look at the faces of this council. I'm really happy about it. Having said that, I come before you today asking you to reconsider or consider, whatever the term may be, the Heinz Senior Citizen Center. I don't go there too often, but when I do, it's really enjoyable and monies are needed. And I have done some research, because I understand that it was thought that the Heinz Center was not a 501(c)(3). And I have a certificate stating from the Department of State that it is in fact a 501(c)(3). Having said that, I hope I've cleared up any misunderstandings. And I hope that most of you, or all of you, since I don't believe in absolute terms, but to consider the Heinz Center, because I was one of the people there involved when it came into fruition. And to look at it today, monies are needed. We all know the price of things are going up, property taxes and et cetera. And I look at the center today and think of what it was at one time, and it can be that again. We have an excellent manager, and I must say that I haven't done my share in terms of, I'm trying to spread myself doing too many things to be perfect. But right now I'm concentrating on the Heinz Center, and it behooves me to ask each of you if you would seriously consider the funds that are coming to the city, that the Heinz will get some of it. And I would be remiss if I would not say that there's a couple of members on this council that I hold very dear to my heart. One is my niece of the heart, and the other one is Adelta's son. Having said that, thank you so much for your consideration. And I will sit down because I have been told that I can be long-winded at times. And thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the middle section that would like to offer public comment?
Good evening, Patricia Stringer. I'm just excited. I was just across the street at the Hilton from 8:30 to 4:30, learning about housing, how it affects our students in school, how it affects everybody. If you don't have something you could call a home, there was even about people who'd been burned out of their homes and everything, how important that is. So if there is any of this money that can go to make sure people are not homeless and are out here for housing, I think that would be good. The other thing, I'd like to thank whoever changed the National Night Out and moved it back up to Camp Curtin where it was last year. I got the email confirming that. Many people are excited about that. It's much more level and everything for older people. So I'm very happy about that. I was just up on State Street and I see that there weren't that many people, you know, that ride their bicycles. And another thing I think would be good is you can put your bicycle on the front of the Rabbit. It used to be the Cat bus, but it's now the Rabbit. So that's one way of avoiding the congestion. And then there was an emergency there at 17th and State Street. So I'm glad that, you know, the traffic's normally congested there. So anyway, thank you. And City Council, continue to do the good work that you do. And that was one of the things they said, be sure to listen to the residents. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the middle section that would like to offer public comment?
Good evening. My name is Elaine Barker, and I live at 719 North 17th Street. And I'm here on behalf of the Heinz Medicare Senior Center. I've been a member for 12 years, and we were well represented before, but there's been so many people who passed away. But the remainder of us still attend. We just reopened again. And hopefully we'd like to get some funds from money that was given to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania to keep us going. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the middle section that would like to offer public comment?
My name is Thomas Lupke, 813 South Front Street, Harrisburg. And I'd like to request the courtesy of having an additional few minutes to go over the issue I have to talk about, since it's something that's spanned the course of over 4 years without resolution. Is that possible?
You have a minute and a half right now, sir. We can add 1 more minute. How much time do you need?
At least 2 or 3 more minutes, as
All right.
usual.
All righty. We'll start from here and we'll go 4 minutes. 5 minutes, as a matter of fact.
My friend Larry, the late Larry Jack and I formed a community group down in South Harrisburg to deal a long time ago with the incinerator. We were dealing with issues that dealt with people as opposed to the incinerator itself. And we were met with strong resistance from the mayor at that point, with lots of cynicism. And the only thing that eventually brought resolution to the whole situation was money. Money came in, was a threat to the city, its solvency, and that's what brought people back to the table, especially those from city council, because at that point, only 2 city council people supported. Now we have another situation that just came up 2 months ago. That is a gentleman who most of us respect quite highly, and we consider his opinions very strong. And he said that cynicism is the recourse of cowards. I thought that was a little strong at the time because he's a national world leader. Then I applied it to our current situation where we have short-term rentals that are coming into our city on a regular basis. And for instance, back in the spring of 2018, 3 short-term rentals came into my neighborhood. 6 long-term residents left because of those short-term rentals. This is a pattern that's going to continue. As short-term rentals destroy, for many reasons, in the 15 memos that I've sent to City Council over the last 4 years. They destroy the integrity of the neighborhood. So we began talking with City Council in spring of 2018. We were told that we would be a part of putting together a draft of an ordinance, and we were given a timeline saying that a good chance that we would have a draft by August of 2020. That came, that passed, there was nothing. Then we were given a second option. It said we would have another opportunity to look at a draft in first quarter of 2021. That came, that passed, nothing again. In the 15 emails that we have sent to City Council and to the mayor and to the city's solicitor, we've detailed all of the reasons not to have short-term residences and that we need ordinances to prevent them. Since you missed out on the 2 draft deadlines so far, I went to our city neighborhood association and they said, we do not want anything to do with it because there's been a new youthful leadership there, some of whom are actually engaged in short-term rentals. And they said, it's up to you all to come to City Council and get resolution to this issue. I passed on a petition to all of you that included the signatures of 39 people that I was able to obtain during the pandemic, which is quite difficult to do. Every one of those people said, if a short-term rental, and many of you may think of short-term rentals as Airbnbs, but there are 6 to 8 other electronic platforms where you can book housing. That's why I call them short-term rentals. They said that with the 15 emails that I sent to you, we didn't even get a response from City Council on our last to any kind of answer whatsoever. So we're beginning to think that the gentleman that I talked about in the beginning of this session, who was Barack Obama, he was the one who said, cynicism is the recourse of cowards. We're beginning to think.
Sir, I'm sorry, but your time has expired.
You don't want to hear what Barack Obama has to say?
I am in no way indicating that, sir. But we have to have a certain time frame in order for our meetings to run smoothly and that
Okay.
we're,
Our time frame is this. We've been dealing with City Council since spring of 2018. So far, there has been no draft, no ordinance. That is 4 years, 4 years of our efforts to generate an STR ordinance. And we have nothing to show for it. When you go outside your front door from now on, you can prepare yourself that a short-term rental could end up popping up in the house right next to you, or if you live in a row home, it could be attached to you. You could enjoy the noise, traffic, congestion, all the bad things that short-term rentals do to break down a neighborhood.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your comments. I'd like
Sir.
to respond, and then if you have time to speak with Councilman Majors following our meeting. But please know that over the past 4 years, we've been dealing with a previous administration at this point. We do have a new mayor and a new administration, so we're hopeful that we can move legislation forward once our solicitor's office reaches a decent complement where drafting can continue. So I will say, as the former Building and Housing Committee Chair, that has been the holdup. I have shared information and draft ordinances with the solicitor's office. Due to the limited complement of the office, the drafts, as you've noted, have not been completed. So if you do have a few minutes to speak with Councilman Majors to gain perhaps an update or a status, I would appreciate that following the meeting, but thank you for your commentary.
And sir, Wes Majors, I'm the new chair of Building and Housing Committee. And I will be perfectly honest with you, last Tuesday, I sent an email to the Law Bureau requesting an update on where we were with the short-term rental ordinance. I have not yet received a response from the Law Bureau. They are the ones that draft the legislation for us. As Council President stated, we have been working with them for several years. I also note that with the limited complement, COVID and other issues, it has not come down to us. So I'm more than willing to work with you and other members of our community and stakeholder groups to talk about where we can go in terms of dealing with short-term rentals within the city of Harrisburg. I will also note that affordable housing and housing issues, while we can deal with some of them at the municipal level here in the city, there are also some fixes that need to occur at the state level because we don't have any, there's no, at the state level, we need landlord tenant laws to help us be able to do the job that we want to do here at the city. So should something come in at the state level, it would supersede what we're doing here in our local community. So we are more than willing to work with you. If you mind sticking around or can write your number down, so I can actually give you a phone call and talk through this and several other issues, I'm more than willing to take the time to do that.
And I should mention to you that the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania has deferred comment on local and city ordinances. So we have a clean slate to write any kind of ordinance they want.
I agree. That's exactly,
that's
they have deferred comment. That's not necessarily support, but I understand where you're coming from. We can have a larger conversation after this. I'm more than willing to have that, take the time to talk with you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the middle section that would like to offer public comment?
Good afternoon, Council. How are you? This, of course, you all know who I am, Mayor Wanda Williams. To you, sir, I have to agree with our President Bowers. I have asked the former administration to do something in the ordinance form on STR, which is called short-term rentals, as well as build homes that are being turned into boarding houses. That is high on my priority, as she indicated. Also, we do not have a full staff in our legal office at this time. So when that does become available, then I certainly will be doing ordinance on that degree. Now, to address another concern, I want the public to know that for the last 16 years that I've been on council, we have always gave money to the Hines Senior Center. They have asked for different money through our CDBG, which is our Community Development Block Grant, and we've always given them money. Seniors in this city are my priority as far as their housing and any place and any activities that they need. I do want to say one thing, though, that I do want accountability. When I give money to organizations, I like to have accountability. So I want to know what has been done with the money that we've given in the last 16 years that I've been on council. And any money that I can give in the future here, I certainly will be addressing it to Mr. Dalford in order to get an accurate account of what he's doing with the senior citizens building there. I like to see more improvements being done there, but I like to also know that the money is being used wisely. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor
I'm sorry.
Williams. Is there anyone else in the middle section that would like to offer public comment?
Les Ford, 2033 Bellevue Road, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I am the director of the Heinz Medical Center. I follow in a long tradition of activism and cooperation with the city. I am trying desperately to continue that. At the last meeting, some comments were made that may have left the impression which deinstitutionalized the Heinz Medical Center or minimized its longstanding cooperative effort and contribution to the city. Just for the record, I have looked at the original incorporation of the Heinz Center. The Heinz Center was incorporated as a 501c3 in 1972. That means 50 years. So we need to put that aside. It is legitimate as a 501c3. I have the paperwork from the federal government, and I have the assertion of Secretary of the Commonwealth in 1975, which happens to have been C. Dolores Tucker. That should be a name which resonates with the community here in Harrisburg. She's asserting that the Heinz Center is appropriately incorporated and registered with the state of Pennsylvania. So that means at the federal level and the state level, we have our paperwork in order. I have provided to council documentation of that, including our latest updated registration, which is for from June 7th of 2022 to May 15th of 2023. We have been a legitimate organization. There should be no question of that whatsoever by individuals in municipal government or the public at large. I will also respond to the comment that was just made, the innuendo that something in terms of malfeasance happened with the money provided to the center. Let me correct the record. We did not get money every year. We got CDBG money some years, several years. We have submitted invoicing to the city through Building and Housing and Community and Economic Development to document every penny that we have spent. If there is an issue with how that money was spent, then I would suggest that the administration look to its own records and clarify that. And quite frankly, I think they need to cease and desist from the innuendo that there is something illegitimate about either the Heinz Center or the administration of the Heinz Center.
Sir, your time is up.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the middle section that would like to offer public comment? Seeing no one, is there anyone in the left section that would like to offer public comment? Seeing no one, anyone in the far left section that would like to offer public comment? Okay, seeing no one, we will move forward with the agenda. We will now move to approval of minutes. Council members, I hope you have had an opportunity to review the minutes for the legislative session of May 24th, 2022. Are there any revisions to note? Seeing and hearing none, the minutes will stand approved. We will now move to reports of committees. The first report you will hear this evening will come from Chair Green on the work session of June 7th, 2022. Chair Green.
Thank you, President Bowers. The Budget and Finance Committee met on June 7th, 2022. During this meeting, we had a presentation from the mayor on the American Rescue Plan Act proposal put forth by the mayor and administration. The current proposal from the mayor for the ARPA funds includes $14.5 million to help those in need, $10 million for beautification and parks and recreations, $9.1 million for public safety, $8.8 million for lost revenue, which is already included in this year's operating budget. A further breakdown of this proposal can be found on the city's website. I would also like to note that this is not the final proposal. This is a proposal. It's not the final decision for how the ARPA funds will be spent. We will be getting a presentation during the fall from the administration on the rest of the proposal that's not being voted on tonight, as well as City Council will be holding meetings to get the public's input on it. During this meeting, we also discussed Bill 7 of 2022, which is an ordinance appropriating initial American Rescue Plan Act funding from the United States Department of Treasury and authorizing certain expenditures of such funds. This bill includes ARPA funding only for $5.5 million to fix the public safety building HVAC system, $1.2 million for first responder bonuses for police and fire, and $8.8 million for revenue replacement, which is already included in the budget for this year. The other items proposed by the administration for the ARPA funds will be brought down to council in a separate resolution or bill during the fall, where we will be able to discuss these items in more detail. The Budget and Finance Committee also discussed Resolution 27, 2022, a resolution approving the first proposed 2022 budget reallocation. This included some technical adjustments to salaries, funding for a confidential secretary position for the Department of Social Equity and Affirmative Action, funding for an accounting clerk 5 in the Treasury's office. The administration did note that this is to allow the Treasury's office to open full-time, according to the treasurer. It also included adding 3 motor equipment operators to the Public Works Department, funding a lot administrator for the remainder of this year with an annual salary of $63,000, increasing the engineering manager's salary to encompass extra duties assumed from the city not having an engineer on staff, increasing funding to the legal budget for outside counsel, and an increase of $100,000 to the engineering consultant line item, which brings the total amount in that line item to $250,000. Lastly, we discussed Resolution 30 of 2022, which is a resolution authorizing the city of Harrisburg to negotiate and enter into a professional services agreement with Boyer and Ritter LLC to perform the city's annual audit and financial report for the year ending December 31st, 2021, and an addendum. This was an engagement letter from Boyer and Ritter to provide audit services already agreed to by the city. There was also a request from Boyer and Ritter for an increased payment for the 2020 audit because of extra time needed to complete the audit for no fault of their own. In order to ensure that this doesn't occur in the future, the finance department did say it has come up with a schedule working with Boyer and Ritter that would allow them to provide completed information on a rolling basis to make for sure the time is used most efficiently. And this concludes the report from the Budget and Finance Department, Budget and Finance Committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Green. The next report you will hear will be from Chair Madsen on the work session of June 7th, 2022. Chair Madsen.
Thank you, President Bowers. On June 7th, 2022, the Public Works Committee met to discuss Resolution 28 of 2022. Resolution 28 is a resolution accepting the offer from the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation in the amount of $1,100 in just compensation for the acquisition of 1,036 square feet of right-of-way at the corner of South 20th Street and Yates Alley for the I-83 widening project. City Solicitor Neil Grover presented on behalf of the administration. Mr. Grover explained due to some technical legal issues that it was easier for the state to purchase the parcel of property through a resolution rather than through eminent domain. The state reached the $1,100 figure through a formula that they apply to these kinds of acquisitions. Resolution was rather straightforward, and I would recommend that my colleagues vote in affirmation of this resolution. That concludes the report of the Public Works Committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Madsen. I will deliver the report on the work session of June 7th, 2022 on behalf of the Building and Housing Committee since Chairman Majors was absent. On June 7th, 2022, the Building and Housing Committee met to receive a quarterly report from the Bureau of Information Technology. Mr. Steve Bortner, Director of the Bureau of Information Technology, was present to deliver the quarterly report on behalf of the administration. Mr. Bortner shared an update on the Operation Municipal Migration Project. Mr. Bortner shared that the system the city will be converting to through Tyler Technologies is the Munis ERP system, which is a cloud-based system. The systems converting are the three mainframe systems, the finance system, and the payroll system. A steering committee consisting of 10 members, including representation from the administration, city council, the city treasurer's office, and the city controller's office, meets on a bi-weekly basis. The steering committee has held 8 meetings to date. On a larger scale, there are 4 teams with 80 team members across various departments and bureaus throughout the city. A kickoff planning meeting was held on April 28th, 2022. The Bureau of Information Technology has access to the new system. The migration will occur over 6 phases. Phase 1 will occur with the Finance Department in January of 2023. In October, Human Capital Management and Tax Billing Collections phases will occur. And the duration of the migration is 21 months with a project completion date of January 2024. Mr. Bortner shared that from a budgetary standpoint, $331,000 has been spent, while $325,000 remains budgeted for the project. A total of 243 hours have been spent by staff working on the project. Finally, through the migration process, solutions for parking tickets and trash container inventory should be resolved. This concludes the report of the Building and Housing Committee. The final committee report you will hear this evening will come from Chair Rawls on the work session of June 7th, 2022. Chair Rawls.
Thank you, President Bowers. On June 7th of 2022, the Parks and Rec and Enrichment Committee met to discuss Resolution 29 of 2022. Resolution 29 of 2022 is a resolution authorizing the City of Harrisburg to award funding in an amount not to exceed $40,000 to the Capital Area Greenbelt Association for the performance of maintenance on city-owned land in the Capital Area Greenbelt. Director Baker pointed out that the $40,000 has already been allotted in the budget and that this resolution has come in front of council so the record will reflect the recipient of the money. Harrisburg City will award $40,000 to a volunteer-based group that will continue the upkeep of the Harrisburg City-owned land of the Capital Area Greenbelt. My fellow council members had no questions. I recommend that my fellow council members vote yes for this resolution so the Capital Area Greenbelt can stay well-maintained and beautiful. That concludes the business of the Parks and Rec Enrichment Committee. Thank you.
Thank you. We do not have any ordinances for first reading this evening, nor do we have any ordinances for amendment. We do have an ordinance for final passage, Bill 7 of 2022. Mr. Parker, could you please read it into the record?
Bill 7, 2022. An ordinance appropriating initial American Rescue Plan Act funding from the United States Department of Treasury and authorizing certain expenditure of such funds.
Thank you. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns related to Bill 7 of 2022? Okay, seeing or hearing none. Mr. Parker, could you please call the vote?
Ms. Daniels. Ms. Daniels. Ms. Green.
Yes.
Mr. Mattson.
Yes.
Mr. Majors.
Yes.
Ms. Rawls.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Bowers.
Yes.
We have 6 yeas and 1 abstention.
So Bill 7 of
So
2022.
Bill 7 of 2022 passes. Excuse me.
That's okay. Thank you. Moving on to resolutions, we have Resolution 27 of 2022.
Miss Bowers, just a
Excuse
point
me?
of order. She can't abstain from the motion. Yes.
Okay, I have her on speakerphone and there we go. Okay, you're back. Okay, thank you.
Yes, okay. Thank you. So just for the record, Bill 7 of 2022 passes unanimously. Thank you. We will now move to resolutions. We have Resolution 27 of 2022. Mr. Parker, could you please read it into the record?
Resolution 27 of 2022. A resolution approving the first proposed 2022 budget reallocation.
Thank you. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to suspend the rules.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. For discussion, I will turn the floor over to Vice President Green, who would like to hear from a representative from the Treasurer's Office.
Yes, thank you, President Bowers. I believe we have a representative from the Treasurer's Office that was going to speak to the request to fund a Clerk 5 position. Thank you. If you could just introduce yourself for the public as well.
Oh, if you could please speak into the mic and make sure that it's turned on.
Yes, it is now. Sally
Thank you.
Spiker, and I am the Deputy Treasurer.
So if you could just speak to the need for a Clerk 5 position and how it would help the office. I believe that during the work session last week, it was said that this would allow the office to open up on a full-time basis. Is that correct?
Not exactly. This is no different need than before. This position was budgeted, was posted to be, was vacant because the person that was here retired in August last year. And we posted the position and couldn't find anybody until the end of the year to fill the position. So it's not a new position, is nothing new, it's just to fill the position that was vacant. When they prepared the budget, the position was budgeted for this year, and the administration removed it for the reasons I'm not the one that can address. But that's basically the reason why that position is essential for the operation of that office.
Okay.
Regarding opening to the public full-time, my understanding is that the treasurer wants to have annual billing prior to that. That definitely would help the office because would reduce significantly the amount of transactions that our staff have proposed. And I briefly did a calculation, and the days that we are open to the public versus the days that we are closed, the tellers post about 25% less transactions. So if we are open 5 days a week, is a significant reduction on the work.
Okay. I'll open it up to my colleagues, I guess just kind of a comment before. I know that during the budget hearings, the treasurer was here and we asked him if the staff that were budgeted for, that were funded was an adequate amount of staff to run the office. And he said that yes, that it was an adequate amount of staff. So we did ensure before passing the budget because it's not that much staff there. So it was obvious to see when one staff was zeroed out. We did ask if that was enough to run his office. And I mean, I can't quote it here, but I'm 99% sure he said that that was an adequate amount of staff to run his office and he did not want to fund the position. So.
Well, that's not exactly right. First, the treasurer does not prepare the budget. I do that and I submit to him for approval prior to submit to administration. And he probably did not understand or did not know at the time that the position had been removed. I did not know until the budget was actually passed. I did not know that the position had been removed.
Okay. I won't say to you, but I will say as far as the treasurer, it will be his responsibility to know that it was removed. It was brought to his attention that it was it's passed under his, I mean.
Yes, it was not brought to our attention. I'm
So
sorry.
I brought it to his attention personally at the budget hearing. We held, I believe, 5 budget hearings this year. We had more than we usually do. So personally, I feel like it was adequate enough time. And I asked very specifically about this very position because it was the only one in his office not funded. And he specifically said, no, we don't need the position. So that's right. I'm not.
But
going,
that
you know,
was not, is not accurate. If he said that, that was wrong. That was not the case.
Okay, I will open up to my colleagues if they have any questions or comments regarding this, but I think that's the only one that, several that I had. Thank you. Councilman Rodriguez, any questions or comments?
Yeah, just one brief question. What would you say is a sufficient complement for you to be open Monday through Friday as used to?
Well, ultimately, this is not my decision. As I said, this is the treasurer's decision. Decision is very determined to have annual billing. And he believes that, well, we all know that if annual billing passes, we have a very, our office would run smoothly, a lot easier than it is right now.
Excuse me, ma'am, could you please speak into the microphone?
Even
Thank you.
with the positions, all the positions that we have, which I believe are for union employees into management, we struggle sometimes to keep up with the work due to the season, tax season or utilities every month, that the volume increases significantly. Obviously, we have to have enough stuff to address those times.
Right, that's why I was asking
Yes.
specifically, do you have a number on what you would need or you don't know? It sounds a bit in the air. And if you don't know or the director doesn't know, who do we go to?
No, we do know, I do know if we have
Can you
enough
share that with
stuff,
us, please?
if we have enough stuff to address yes, we do have enough stuff on a timely manner. We have to a certain time to post a certain amount of transactions. And sometimes we struggle with that time on certain occasions of the year or of the month.
So you don't have a number that you may think is efficient?
We do have a number that we think is efficient. What I'm continuing to say, we can operate with the number of people that we have in the office. We have times that we have to delay the process. That's exactly what I'm saying, not that we cannot.
You don't have that information. Thank you. It's confusing though, when you say the treasurer was responsible. It's kind of like throwing rocks at each other, but you're supposed to be a team. It just confuses council. I know it definitely confuses me. Especially when January, February during the budget times, we've asked these very same questions and we were given kind of counter answers.
As you know, the treasurer is responsible for everything that happens in the office. I work with them as a team. However, the ultimate decision is his.
Absolutely.
So I don't have what I can.
You were the
anything-
deputy treasurer, correct?
Exactly.
So in his absence, who would be responsible to?
I'm
Okay.
responsible, but I don't make any decisions against his
Absolutely.
wish.
Thank you for that. No further questions.
I don't know if Councilwoman Daniels has any comments or questions. Councilman Majors?
Thank you. And this Deputy Director, thank you for your candor this evening. So let's take a step back here. Currently, the hours of operation to the public are what? The days that your office is open?
Mondays and Wednesdays from 8:30 to 2:30.
Okay. And that is a change that occurred as a part of when we went into some of the COVID restrictions you used. Prior to that, you were open.
Before that, we were completely closed. Then we open one day a week and then we open.
No, prior to the pandemic.
After the pandemic, we closed completely.
Prior to the pandemic.
We were open
So
5
let's
days a week.
talk, yeah. So November 2019, any day of the week, I could have walked into the treasurer's office, correct? March 2020, pandemic hits, office was closed, correct? And then as COVID restrictions began to lift, we opened 2 days a week, correct? Yeah, okay. And the complement of employees has not changed, less one since 2019. So in 2019, when you're open every day, you had the same number of employees. 2020, 2021, COVID restrictions, same number of employees. Office was same
Until
number of
August,
employees,
yes.
same number of employees?
Until August,
Okay.
yes.
Until August with the loss, the retirement of
That's correct.
one individual.
Yes.
When we got our budget for 2022, there was still, that position was vacant and not funded in the budget. At that time, we were told, as Vice President Green mentioned, that the office could be funded and operate functionally. We're coming back here now in this reallocation for the clerk 5 position, correct? Again, so with that new complement, we were still suggesting as an office, it is more functional for you to operate just 2 days a week to the public.
As it is, yes.
And what we're being told is that in order for the office to consider reopening, they want annual billing, an ordinance that we don't have in front of us yet, correct? Well, our solicitor left, but I'll speak to the Public
Yes.
Works Chair briefly. We do not have that ordinance yet, correct?
We do not.
So while I understand how processes work, it feels a little unfair to the public when I hear publicly that the only reason we cannot return to functioning the way that we were prior to the pandemic is for us as a council to vote on a piece of legislation that's not before us yet. That just feels unfair, and it feels like, we're being held over a barrel to get something done that we haven't had full public vetting on and a full public discussion. As the prior chair of Public Works, I have worked with the city treasurer. We've worked with the Law Bureau, as we've noted in previous. Some of the changes we talked publicly about, some of them we still need to have larger negotiations and conversations on, none of which have occurred yet in 2022. Again, we understand, again, and I'm not trying to speak to, I know our Law Bureau is currently understaffed right now. They have a lot of work on their plates and we want to get as much done. But again, to the public who is used to being able to show up into City Hall, because right now, every other office is open on a regular basis. It just feels, quite frankly, unfair to residents. And I get it. Look, we're functioning very good. And I am hopeful as building housing chair that the new Tyler technology software will help improve your processes as well. But to hear that not just as a member of council, but as a city resident, just feels, quite frankly, unfair to the residents that rely on coming down to City Hall, doing their business and going home. So I appreciate the level of candor that you provided us tonight. I just want to make that comment. I apologize for being long with it.
Am I allowed to address the comment?
Absolutely.
Okay. Regarding the being open to the public 2 days a week and having customers coming to the city to make payments. We provide a drop box on the back of the building. We create a new drop box on the front of the building. All payments can be dropped on the drop box. There's no need to go in our office. Probably 99.9% of the payments that are made in our office in person can be made online, can be made on a drop box, can be mailed. There's no need for a physical contact with the public, except if they want to make a payment with cash. At that point, they can utilize the 2 days that were open to the public to make that payment. So I do not see the need, and I respect your opinion on being open to the public 5 days a week. That is essential. It's not. We can run the entire. We have been working and providing the same revenue to the city during the last 2 years, being closed the first year in full, and now being open 2 days a week. So that justifies that is not the need to be open to the public 5 days a week is not important, is not relevant in this case.
Okay. Well, again, I appreciate your position on this. I would agree to disagree. Again, we are providing services to the residents of the city of Harrisburg. We should be as available as we possibly can to them, recognizing that there are a number of people that have accessibility issues and may not feel comfortable making payments online. That having this option open to them more than just a Monday or Wednesday feels like something that we should be doing. So look forward to further conversations with the city treasurer regarding this. Thank you, Vice President Green.
Thank you, Councilman Majors. Council President Bowers.
Thank you, Vice President Green, and thank you for being here this evening to clarify some of the questions that we had last week. I don't really have a question. I think you've answered everything that I possibly would have asked, but I do think that it is an issue that you and the treasurer are dictating the way in which residents can pay for their refuse services. I think it's really limited in thinking that people do not appreciate the service of being greeted by someone and that person-to-person interaction while rather than assuming that someone has access to the internet to pay their bill, assuming that someone has transportation to come here to utilize the drop box that's out here or the new one that you've created. And then assuming that they're available on Monday or Wednesday, beginning at 8:30 and ending at 2:30. Many people are still actively working. So they either have to take off or work around their schedule to come here, should they want to speak to someone in person. So I just think it's rather limited that you are assuming all of these things about our residents when pre-pandemic, this wasn't an issue. And I understand pivoting, and I'm not closed-minded to pivoting and making changes due to this new reality that we face. But I don't think it's fair to the residents that the annual billing is a bargaining tool that we haven't even laid eyes on the ordinance. That's not fair.
Or we are working on that for over 3 years. So it's not exactly something new.
I understand that it's not new. I'm aware of what it does, but what I'm telling you is that this year we have not seen the ordinance, so it just doesn't add up. No pun intended, but thank you.
Thank you, President Bowers. Before I pass it to Councilman Mattson, if you could just give an overview for the public of what all your office does. Like, what do you process? I know it's more than just paying your trash bill. So it's not just refuse bill that's being affected by these hours. I believe you do dog licensing and other things as well. If you could just give an overview.
We process mercantile payments, taxes, license, we process coach payments, we process parking tickets, real estate taxes for city and school, utility payments. Every single payment dollar that comes to the city is processed in that office, and our revenue is about 64 million, 65. So it's all coming through as one person posting that payment in the system.
Okay. So if anyone would want to pay their taxes in cash, they can only come Monday or Wednesday from 8:30 to 2. If they want to pay a parking ticket in cash, mercantile licensing, get their dog license. I know because that was a headache to get my dog license. I actually went to the mercantile department who told me they would take my payment and process it for me, get the license and put it in my city council office. Well, everyone doesn't have that option. And that's a lot of running around. I denied it and still came back on a Wednesday. But that's a lot to ask of people when it's the only office that does it.
I have a printout for all the days that we were open to the public. And I can show you, I can show all council members, I have enough pages if you want, that show all the transactions that we received in office in person for all the payments except parking tickets, real estate taxes, and utility bills. I have probably a total of 10 payments or so that are not related to these items during all these months. So that's not exactly accurate because they don't really have that daily needs to process, to request the dog license or.
Right, but you said that you have the transactions outside of paying your real estate taxes, which if you don't pay, you lose your home. And so you're saying you have the transactions not including some of the very large items. I think a lot of people will come.
That term, if you don't pay, you lose your home is not real, it's not realistic, has nothing to do with that. Because if you don't pay your taxes, you lose your home. That's the reality, not the utility bill. You don't pay your taxes, you lose your home. 2 years after that, you're gonna lose your home.
Right.
So that's the reality, not the utilities. It's
I
a
didn't
totally
say
different.
I'm saying you still have to come to your office in order to pay your taxes in cash.
You don't have to, well, you can pay it on, you can, we also provide ACH if you don't want to come to our office.
Right,
For free,
I'm
for
just
free.
asking if they would like to pay it in cash.
As I said, yes.
Right.
The only reason that justifies being open to the public is for cash payment. I was very clear on my initial comments that the only reason to be open is to process cash payments.
Right. Have you and the treasurer ever discussed having longer hours even on the days that you are open? Because it does limit the people that can
We
come.
are union, and these are the hours allowed by contract.
Only
So-
till 2:30 PM.
We are open. The union requires 7, now they changed to 8 hours a day with an hour for lunch, half hour for breaks. And we have to work with these hours. They are constantly open. There's no changes. Yes.
Okay, so from 8:30 AM until 2 PM, 2:30 PM is the only hours the union will allow you to be open.
Being open has not anything to do with the union. It has to do with the hours that the employees work. And they only allow to work those hours.
8 hours a day or
8 hours a
8
day.
AM to 2:30 PM.
Well, they leave at 3:30, they have to settle their cash and their payments. They
Right,
have
so
to
your office
prep
has the
work.
ability to move those 8 hours back forward. You can move them. It's 8 hours.
Can move them how? I
You
I
can
don't get
move
what you're
some
trying to
9
say.
to 5, 10 to 6. I'm just saying, has there,
If you want to open during the night as well, no.
Okay,
These
I'm
are the
not-
hours
okay.
that we agree.
I'm
See,
not trying to
the
be
front door,
combative.
the
I'm not
front
trying to
door
be-
closes at 5.
would you allow me to speak, please? I'm not trying to be combative. I'm simply saying, have we looked at other options just to make it more convenient for the citizens? I'm not asking anything like out of the extraordinary. I'm just asking, has that been a conversation? If the answer is no, that's fine.
Well, we are open to suggestions. Maybe somebody has another suggestion that can address your concerns.
Okay, well, I would suggest maybe looking at some hours, maybe until at least 5 PM. Where at least people might have time to get there after work or a little later in the day. That's the only suggestion I was making. I was just
I'll
asking
make-
if you guys
I
had
will,
had
I'll
that
talk to the,
conversation.
I will talk.
I wish the treasurer would have been here to have this
He's out of the
conversation.
country, but,
I wish you would have
I'll-
called in. I don't,
I will address that.
right,
that
so
your
maybe he'll be
concern
able
with
to
the
come to
treasurer.
another meeting. And address some of those things. So I feel like a lot of this is a conversation more with him, since he's the one that makes the final decision. And I feel like you're kind of, I hate to say playing the middle person, but you're hearing a lot of comments that are directed towards him, and the decisions that he's making more so than something that you can really answer for.
Well, it doesn't matter what my opinion is. I cannot come here and tell you something that he doesn't agree with. Correct? So,
But you also can't tell us his thinking because it's his. So I was just saying, I think this is a conversation to be had with him as well. So I appreciate you being here tonight. And I will continue to pass it on to my other colleagues for any questions. Councilman Mattson.
Yeah, just pet peeve of mine. This has nothing to do with the exchange. When we talk about bargaining, it's dictated by the contract. And that means management and the union agree to those terms. So when we say the union's just a conduit to have that conversation, adopt that contract. The union doesn't stop these operations or dictate those hours per se. It's because it comes off to the public as if the union's stopping the office from being open, and that's just not correct. And that's not what you said,
Yeah,
but
that's not
it's
what I
just,
said.
but the exchange, I'm just making it clear
what I said
for,
is they only work 8 hours.
for the contract.
Okay.
That's all. Just wanted to make sure that for everyone's benefit, the union is not stopping this from operating. Okay. And someone from the admin, I don't know if this would be the solicitor, what is the status of annual billing? Where are we at with the conversation? Do we have a draft resolution?
And Councilman Madsen, my understanding is that there's a significant history behind this. I'm not exactly sure where we are back and forth. I know the city solicitor and the treasurer have gone back and forth on this several times. However, when we get back, this will be a conversation between myself, obviously Neil, and the business administrator as far as how we go about this. But this is there's, as the deputy city treasurer mentioned, there's significant history on this matter. And there have been several drafts, I know that have gone back and forth, that both parties have either rejected or changed or.
Yeah, and I'll just speak briefly. So since I apologize, Councilman Madsen,
No,
since,
please.
since I served as Public Works Public Works Chair, excuse me, for several terms on City Council. So we have had several drafts that have gone back and forth. The last draft I recall was, this is the beginning of this session, so it was in 2021. We also, but the version that the city treasurer provided versus the city solicitor, there were still some issues that needed to be ironed out between those parties before we could move forward. So in 2021, we couldn't get it done. So I think that's a good starting point for this current term of city council to move on. But again, I think we'll take our direction from the administration, city treasurer's office, working with Chair Madsen on how we move forward.
Yeah, and I've had conversations with both the administration and the treasurer regarding this issue, and where it was left was they were still sort of hashing out some of these details in the negotiation. Is that where we're still at?
So as Councilman Majors mentioned, there is quote unquote a working draft. We essentially just need to sit down, solicitor's office, the business administrator, and the treasurer's office to sit down and work out those final details. But there's been more or less a working draft, and just the parties cannot come together and make a final decision.
Okay. Okay, so sometimes in this role, I feel like council needs to be adult in the room and figure out a kind of compromise here. Is there any way the parties can come together before we go to summer break, before we do this allocation, to get a draft that council can work with in conjunction with the treasurer's and administration's office before we allocate these funds? So that way we know we're all operating in good faith. The treasurer knows that we will make a final decision as council, as a yay or nay vote, and then they can have the resources that they need to continue to bring in money for the city so we can function.
The city solicitor's office can have a draft presented to the treasurer's office for review. Certainly, I don't want to speak to before the break, just given our workload and given our complement. I don't know. I don't want to say specifically when we're going to be able to get something down to you guys, but absolutely, we can send a draft down to the treasurer's office to consider, and also working with the business administrator. So there's no issue with getting a draft down.
Just because,
Yeah.
to be blunt here, this sounds like, first of all, I feel bad that an administrator is essentially having to talk on behalf of what's a political issue. The elected official that represents this department is essentially saying, we will not open our office until we get what we want from this resolution or legislation. I don't agree with that tactic at all, but the people elected him in this role, and that's what he's doing as their representative. What I don't like to see is the city get harmed because the treasurer's department can't collect the revenues because they don't have the complement that they need. Or I've experienced this in my lifetime as working in government, is politicians make decisions and then the workers within that workplace bear the brunt of those decisions or those political back and forth. And that's not really fair to the workers in that department. So I'm inclined to allow to vote in favor of this reconciliation so we can keep the department functioning. But it's a very angry vote in the sense that I don't like this tactic of holding essentially the department hostage for what the community wants. So I'm asking the treasurer and the administration to come together and figure out and present it to us within, I'm hoping before we go on summer break so council can review. Last time we looked at this, it was part of a larger package deal, but we did have town halls and things to get input from the community, explain what the resolution is doing. I remember distinctly, there was a lot of seniors that came out and had concerns because of, some of them had concerns about the IT portion of it or having to pay all of the money in a lump sum versus $30 a month. I think those are valid criticisms, and we need to sort of hash that out with the community and have a conversation. So, okay.
Really accurate. That's why we need to discuss this. We provide the
Yeah,
monthly
you-
payments.
at the-
and-
So, and at the beginning, so I remember this because this is, I apologize for cutting in.
All
This
right.
is something that, so the original ordinance that was provided to us would be at the beginning of the year, everyone would get a payment, a billing to them that included 12 tickets. So each month you would write a check or make a payment to the office in the amount of 32, 34, whatever your refuse payment was. And you would get that one at the beginning of the year and have to hold on to that paper and do through the year. I think there are other ways, other methods that we can explore to address this, because a lot of things dealing with payments to the office, particularly on our trash bills, is a policy issue. So it can be changed right now. We could do quarterly billing at a drop of a hat. So there's a lot of different things that we could do in order to address these issues. But again, don't want to hash out all that right now, because you got to get the bill so we can have a larger
Right.
conversation.
And,
But-
and look, I'm just, from what I can recall from a few years ago, the concerns I was getting via email and conversation. But that said, again, if we can just get this language to us, so then we can start the conversation to get this moving. And the treasurer knows council made a decision one way or another with this legislation. I would appreciate that very much as Chair of Public Works. That's it. Thank you.
Council President?
No, I didn't have anything else. It just seems like we don't have that confirmation that we will receive it. So I'd like to ask Chair Green, are you still interested in voting on this resolution this evening? Or would you like to hear from the treasurer himself? How would you like to move forward?
Two things. One, I would like to hear from the treasurer, but before I go into that, I'll see if Councilwoman Rawls has anything to add.
Thank you, Vice President Green. I just thank you for coming this evening. I kind of just need a little clarification. You're open Monday to Wednesday. Oh, excuse me. Okay. Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So just 2 days a week, right? Oh, Tuesdays and Wednesday. 8:30 to 2:30. Okay, so on Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays, is nobody in that office? Are you all at home? Are you in the office? You're in the office. And so you're sitting in the office doing work, but you can't open to the public because
With the staff that we have, I have to assign 2 tellers to the line.
right.
That's nobody else on the back office. No one to answer phones, no one to post any other payment that is not the customer that comes in. As I mentioned, there's a reduction of about 25% on the volume, on the days that we are open to the public. 25% of work is significant per day. So we are in the office, but they are a lot more productive being on the back, posting payments, all the hundreds of payments a day that they post, than being at the line and post 30, 40 payments. That's how many payments they post when they are at the line.
Okay. I mean, not okay, but fine. I mean, we have to work on. We won't have to.
And I understand, you're being open to the public, because we were open to the public before.
With the same compliment.
We were open to the public before.
Right.
Again, we struggled because this office was at 9 employees at one point. They have been reduced along the way, and now we have only 4 tellers. 4 union employees. We have 9. So obviously the volume of work continues to be the same, actually increased because we acquire another type of payment, which is the Stilton collection for trash. Now it's complicated. It's a new system that works aside from our mainframe, is new volume of work that is separated from our work. So it has to be balanced differently. So that requires the same amount of work as I'm not talking about the volume of money, but the volume of transactions in the process. So they have more work than they have before with less people. Again, all the work can be done. There's times of the month that they struggle to process the payments on time. They cannot run bills for the following month for utilities if we are not caught up with all the payments that are due by the 15th of this month. So if they extend the posting by 5 days because they have a big volume and they are delayed, they cannot run bills in IT, and the payments, the bills cannot go out. So this is a process that the volume impacts the entire system.
Well, thank you for that
As I said,
explanation.
and I'm not here advocating for the annual billing, that's the treasurer's baby. But with that in place, we don't have any more problems. Because if you think about the utility bills are about 18,000 bills that we print every month. Send them out, and 2 weeks later, get them back for the same $32.34. If you think about, it doesn't really make any sense. Why are we doing that? It's postage, it's printing to get a payment that everybody knows that is due for $32.34. If we just print together on our tax bill, include that total, at least we eliminate the printing of the bills, the volume of work of taking it to the post office, printing in IT, go to the mail room, folding and sending, all that. I'm not talking about the cost, but just the volume of work that involves several departments. We eliminate that. And we still can provide to the citizens the monthly payment if they choose to do so. You can pay $32.34. You get your tax bill and you pay your utility bills monthly if you don't want to pay in full at the beginning of the year.
Well, thank you for that explanation. I mean, I know it's a work in progress, but I do hope you all open with more hours and we can, get that underway, because everybody can't come in 8:30 to 2:30. I know I had an issue. I was billed twice this month for trash refusal. And I can't come in and talk to anybody. Well, now I can because I'm off summer break, but everybody doesn't get summer break. But I couldn't come in and talk to anybody because my hours are 8:35 to 4:05. So I can't come and speak to anybody. Yes, meaning that's what I'm explaining to you is I couldn't come talk to you.
And we address any questions that they have.
On Tuesdays, and wait, I might have the days messed
outside-
up again.
outside those days.
Oh,
And there's a customer outside that needs to talk to us. They bring him in and we talk to them.
well, I still wouldn't be able to, hours weren't your hours. I know it's not, but okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's it for me.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I would like to put forward for motion to have this, just the accounting clerk 5 position out of the bill removed currently until we have more information and a little bit more backing on it. Just seems like there's not enough behind it. And when we're asking the questions as council, we're just not getting what we need to go back to the residents and make sure they're confident as well. So I just like to put forward for motion to have that specifically removed from the bill, not the bill in its entirety.
Right. So essentially you're asking to amend resolution 27 of 2022 to remove the clerk 5 funding until another time if we decide.
Absolutely.
I don't know, do I say is it a second? Somebody else say is it a second?
You're presiding, so.
All right, is there a second?
I second that.
All right, it's been moved in second. Is there a vote to amend resolution 27 of 2022, a resolution approving the first proposed 2022 budget reallocation to remove the clerk 5 funding position?
I'm sorry.
I think I read your line, but
So just to
I
clarify,
thought-
do you have the motion recorded properly? So it was to amend resolution 27 of 2022. I'm trying to find the line item.
Yes. Yes. To put forward a motion to remove clerk 5 funding until further discussion.
Yes, I just wanted to clarify the line item, just so it's clear on Appendix A of the general fund, lines 22 and 23 that address an accounting clerk 5 in the office of the treasury. So I'm amending your friendly motion. So I'm amending your amendment to include those items.
Thank you.
Is there a second to the amended motion?
Second.
Thank you.
And just a little, just a brief backstory on why I feel as though it's essential, because I understand everything you're saying, but there are times in this lobby where there are literal fights about to break out because residents just want to pay their bills. And that's a huge public safety concern. And when we have to lock down the buildings just for a resident wanting to pay their bill, it's a large concern, and we just want to assist in any way we can. So just a little backstory to that. Thank you.
Wait a minute. Before we take action, we have to go back into the legislative session. We're not there. So is there any other discussion? Let's rewind, but thank you for your motion. Is there any further discussion for the deputy treasurer?
Sorry, just real quick, since there's a contemplation of making a change. The additional position that's being discussed, what does that do to the operations?
Does all the administrative work that involves changing appraisals in the system, answering phones, addressing questions to the customers. That's what that position does. Creating reports, Excel files, issue refunds based on new reassessments. There's a lot of work for that position. Currently, it's not being done. Actually, management is doing that now, which is a violation of the contract. This is a union job and should be done by a union employee, but we'll continue doing it.
Okay, well, I know as management, you also deal with other duties as assigned. So you are, you're required to pick up the slack should you not have enough complement. As a management employee, you should be doing the work to ensure that the funds that are coming into the city are properly, that all of our balance sheets are executed and every fund that comes in. So I understand.
You're right. That's not the way our union team thinks, because we were questioned several times for work that we had to do. There was union work, and due to the volume of work and the need to meet deadlines, we processed.
Yeah,
We
process
did,
in order
and
to
we
meet
were
deadlines.
disciplined.
Okay.
The union actually filed a grievance because we were not supposed to touch their work. So
Okay.
I'm just letting that
So
as a side note.
it's a position that is needed at this time, is what you're saying, in order to be able to address the volume of work, which is why it's coming down in this reallocation, right? We're doing a budget reallocation.
The reallocation is simple. The position existed before, was budgeted on the proposed budget that Treasury submitted, was posted online, advertised to be filled, and was removed from the budget that was submitted to you, to council for approval. That's basically what, and the solution was asking council for a reallocation. That's why we are here. The position was never removed, was never even remotely planned to be removed, is essential for the office.
Okay, thank you.
But we accept.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other final thoughts, Chair Green?
I don't really have any more thoughts. I believe we've kind of discussed this all pretty well. This was a position that was discussed during the original budget process, where the treasurer said that it wasn't needed at the time. For whatever reason, he thought that it wasn't needed. I can't answer that because I'm not him. And obviously, thank you for being here. Thank you for playing the middle person and hearing all of the concerns. Even though I know that a lot of these decisions aren't made by you, they're something that come with the role. And so we thank you for working through them and getting the work done. Maybe we can talk afterwards, some suggestions on maybe how we can improve efficiency or something like that as we're working through the system we're working in. I don't know whether or not this position will stay in the budget reallocation or whether it be removed. That'll be something that's discussed in a few minutes. But I do thank you for being here tonight and answering our questions and being very candid about your answers. Thank you. I will say one thing, this is not to you. But if we close, does anyone have any other comments on resolution 27 of 2022 period before we close the opening of yes, the discussion?
Yeah, so a little bit of clarification on my end, but then first I'll just start and just reiterate my comment from before. And that is, I don't agree with the political tactics the treasurer has taken in this instance. However, I don't think workers and departments within workers should be penalized. I know what a low compliment looks like, and it is tough. You know, it affects morale, which then also affects turnover. And this is a critical office that really needs to function at its highest capacity for us to keep the lights on in this building and provide the services for the community. So again, I don't agree with the tactics of the treasurer's office, but I do want to give the resources to that department that they need. Good there. And then for clarification, were we voting on the amended resolution to strike?
Right now, we're not voting on
We
anything.
can't vote on
We're still in
anything. We're still in discussion.
Okay.
We have to go back into the legislative
Okay.
session. So that's what. Chair
I was
Green
just
is
asking if anyone had any other questions or comments on anything that was part of the budget reallocation, which includes adding 3 motor equipment operators, increasing the salary for the engineer manager to compensate him for extra duties that he's encompassed with not having an engineer on staff, increasing funding to the legal budget for outside counsel, increasing the engineering consultant line item budget of to increase it $100,000 to $250,000, to add a confidential secretary to the Department of Social and Equity and Affirmative Action, along with technical amendments to correct salaries and other things that were discussed at last week's work session. If there are any questions or comments, please speak now. Councilman Majors.
Yeah, just one question, and I apologize because I was not here at the last work session due to a work obligation. So the increase in the engineering consultant line item, is that due to, I won't make an assumption. What is that due to?
I don't know if there is someone from the administration that can speak to that. I know that Mr. Bullock was here and was here last week and said that some of it was to increase work because of the State Street project. And I think that was about the only explanation we got to the increase. I don't know if there is anyone here from the administration that would like to speak to that, but we did question the almost doubling of the line item and kind of made emphasis on the fact that we would never pay a city engineer that type of money. So why would we pay a firm that type of money? Mr. Bullock did say that there are also other costs encompassed in the engineering consulting line item, essentially, not this specific one, but that each project also has firms that they work with. We did ask for information regarding the engineering total spend for the past, I want to say 3 years or so, like just pre-pandemic kind of until now. And earlier today, we did get an email for up until 2021. Doesn't exactly give us our spend for this year, including not just this consulting line item, but also the consultant firms on other projects. So I don't know if there's any other information that wants to be included in that, but that's about all the explanation that we got at last week's meeting and the information we received in our email.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to clarify as far as the work for the public safety, 100% agreed with the firefighters and the police. Just wanted to know if codes and potentially the public works workers or especially management would be included in that at all. Being though I believe Nate was handling some of the engineering as well, it still is. Just wanted to know if were they included at all.
Are you talking about the bonuses?
Yes.
So that was on Bill 7 that we
Okay.
already voted on. And that was just for police and fire,
Police and fire.
including their management
Gotcha.
staff.
Absolutely.
So anyone from the administration want to speak to the engineering consultant line item? Thank you. If you could just introduce yourself again for the public. And I believe Councilman Major's question was, what is the reasoning behind the increase?
Yes, good evening, everyone. Brian McCutcheon, Accounting Manager, City of Harrisburg. Chair Green, I'll try to recall, I know Percy went into a good bit of detail on that. I believe that schedule that he emailed today, I actually prepared that at his request. It's, as you know, Dawood Engineering is the main firm that's doing significant amount of consulting work pertaining to the various streets and roads projects that the city currently has underway. And I think project manager Bullock was looking to expand on that, indicating that there were other needs for the city's engineering department. The city solicitor also mentioned about that the city engineer previously, Wayne, was involved with working with the outside firms, but he was also overseeing a department, managing that department. So you have the general expertise of an engineer for this city, but then he also has to manage his department and his staff. And then obviously there's that need to go outside beyond the department to engage other firms. From what I determined from that review I did for Percy was in the general fund, going back to the years I listed there included 2018 and 2019. There were more general fund expenditures of the general fund's budget for outside services in the general fund. In recent years, that has shifted over to the capital projects fund because of linking these services closer to the various infrastructure projects, the streets and roads. So there's been a drop off on the general fund, but an increase in the capital projects fund. Of that type of service, the design and planning have decreased in recent years because there was more need for planning of the projects 2 to 3 years ago, where now the projects are more full in swing and the hard construction costs are the ones that we're seeing more. So even though there is less, there's always seems to be a need or a flow, whether it's the general fund taking the cost, which was true in earlier years. But now the capital projects fund is absorbing more of those costs that we've added budget to. I think though with Percy's recent taking over that position and his current knowledge, I think he's wanting to expand just that there is still a need for these types of services. It may not just be for what we have going on with streets and roads, but there are other needs that the city has for different types of design consulting work. That's about as best as I can sum it up with my expertise relative to traffic and engineering.
Thank you. And then I will continue to my review of the work session minutes and the YouTube, because I just didn't get a chance to finish the whole thing yet. But so the engineering consultant costs, are all those directed to Dawood as a part of this, or is it just in that line item to be for other projects that may come up where we have to have additional
I believe
engineering consultant?
that additional 100,000 ask is all specific to Dawood.
Yes. So Mr. Bullock did essentially say that that would be an increase to Dawood, and that in the other projects, there are other firms, but they are in the project budget. And
right.
that's the reason why we asked for that schedule, which kind of show us the total spend on engineering, including outside firms and having a city engineer for the previous years compared to the total spend in the engineering budget, including Dawood as our city engineer and outside firms, to see if we are paying markedly more by having Dawood Engineering as the city engineer compared to paying a reasonable salary for an engineer instead of budgeting way under what an engineer would make. So that was the reason why I was asking for the schedule. I believe you're trying to get to the same point that I was
Right.
trying to get to, which is, are we paying ridiculously more using an engineering firm that's not giving us more service because we're spending more money and still using outside firms on specific projects when we could have a city engineer who is on staff to handle these issues? So if something, and this isn't to you, sir, so that if
Understood.
something such as State Street comes up that requires more time, we will be redirecting time of a city engineer rather than the time of multiple people at a consulting firm at a very high hourly rate compared to having someone on staff. And that was the purpose of this. And I'll kind of discuss the schedule with you a little more after the meeting so I can kind of nail down the things that I'm actually looking for. Because in my personal opinion, just from the things that I've seen, $250,000 towards Dowwood is essentially $250,000 toward a city engineer. This is just towards their city engineering duties. And we would never pay that for a city engineer. Councilman Majors.
No further question. We're on the same line of thinking. Thank you.
Are there any other comments or questions regarding anything with the budget reallocation, the first budget reallocation for 2022? Seeing none, I would make a motion to go back into legislative session.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
So moved. We have now returned back to our legislative session. So the action is for Resolution 27 of 2022. Mr. Parker, could you please read it one more time?
Resolution 27, 2022, a resolution approving the first proposed 2022 budget reallocation.
Thank you. Council members, are there any questions, comments, concerns related to Resolution 27 of 2022?
And to be clear, this is the time that someone will make an amendment.
Correct.
Yes, I'd like to put forth a motion to amend 27. I actually would like to remove the accountant clerk 5 position until further information can be displayed to council. Just makes more sense to us.
Okay. Is there a second?
I second that.
Mr. Parker, could you please call the vote?
Ms. Daniels. Ms. Green,
No.
Mr. Mattson,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
No.
Ms. Rawls,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
And Ms. Bowers.
No.
We have 4-3 in favor.
Thank you. Okay, we will now vote on the amended Resolution 27 of 2022. Mr. Parker, could you please call the vote?
Ms. Daniels,
I wasn't clear on her vote.
no. Ms. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Mattson,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Ms. Rawls,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
and Ms. Bowers.
I have some commentary before I cast my vote. While I agree with several aspects of the first proposed 2022 budget reallocation, including contracted personnel services for a sign language interpreter to continue to improve council's inclusivity and accessibility for our residents and members of the public, temporary summer help to ensure the city's summer programs are operating successfully for our children, and additional motor equipment operators to assist with trash collection throughout the city and the other contracted neighboring municipalities. I also understand that technical amendments occur. Numbers need to add up. However, when we continue to receive documents addressing the budget hours before our meetings and new handouts when we arrive at the meetings, it's concerning. It's not enough time for council members to truly review the numbers and any pertinent changes. I cannot support allocating an additional $150,000 to Dawood Engineering. The total engineering budget would increase to $250,000. It is disheartening to hear that the city does not have any leads on an engineer. As I reminded everyone last week, Dawood Engineering's contract will end December 31st, 2022. I was also disappointed to learn that the time-sensitive projects which council unanimously agreed to enter into a professional services contract with Dawood Engineering with the passage of Resolution 12 of 2022 on March 8th. We were under the impression that there were at least 12 time-sensitive projects that needed an engineer's approval. However, we learned during the June 7th work session from Mr. Percy Bullock, acting director and project manager, that the projects are no longer deemed time-sensitive and will be completed in November. The mixed messaging from the acting director project manager is inconsistent, to say the least. Dawood Engineering has spent the majority of their time to date working on the State Street construction project. Given the large allocation, it is equivalent to the quote I received from Dawood for one of the 2 traffic lights the residents of State Street are requesting at the intersections of 16th and State and 19th and State. I would rather see the money allocated to purchase the traffic signals rather than given to Dawood, since we can't receive clarity on the work they've done so far since March. Finally, the miscommunication between the treasurer, deputy treasurer, and the administration is terribly confusing regarding the need for an accounting clerk 5 in the treasury office. The administration says the accounting clerk 5 position is needed to reopen the office on a daily basis, while the treasurer and the deputy treasurer are saying that is not the case. As you heard, the accounting clerk 5 position has nothing to do with reopening the office daily. As a result, I cannot justify these allocations, nor can I support the entire first proposed 2022 budget reallocation. My vote is a no.
All right. Could we please review the amendment vote? Ms. Daniels? I need to review because there were 2. Okay, you're yes with the amendment. All right. Mid-
Passed, right? I'm sorry. I was asking Parliament.
I'm just
Yes,
reviewing.
No, I understand. Yes.
Okay, okay. Ms. Green,
No.
Mr. Mattson,
Excuse me, parliamentary inquiry. I just want to make sure, we're re-voting on the amendment, or he's just,
This is not a revote.
I think
Okay.
we're confirming.
No,
your
confirming.
vote on
It's
the
just
amendment.
He's
confirmation.
confirming the
Yes.
vote.
Okay,
yes.
all right.
Mr. Mattson,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
This is on the amendment,
correct.
and I was saying no.
Ms. Rawls,
Wait a second.
Oh, no.
Okay,
This
hold
is
on,
on the amended
resolution.
resolution 27 of 2022.
Okay,
Oh, I
so
thought it was on the amendment.
No,
No,
the
I'm sorry.
amendment
I
has already
misspoke.
passed.
the
We are
amendment-
voting on the amended version of resolution 27 of
Yes.
2022. The amendment passed, which removes the accounting clerk 5 position from Appendix A, referencing the general fund, lines 22 and 23. So
That
we're
passed with a 4-3 vote.
correct.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
And then
So-
the amended
This is
The
Version.
actual amended version had passed with a 2-5 vote, with the 2 being President Bowers and Ms. Daniels being the no votes.
Okay.
Everyone else was a yes vote.
Okay,
Yes, he was-
all right, wonderful. Thank you.
So the
So
amended,
the amended portion of Resolution 27 has passed 5-2.
So the amended resolution, the resolution as amended.
Yes, I'm
Yes.
sorry, the resolution that's amended,
yes,
27, has passed 5-2.
thank you. Next, we have Resolution 28 of 2022. Mr. Parker, could you please read it into the record?
Resolution 28, 2022. A resolution accepting the offer from the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation in the amount of $1,100 in just compensation for the acquisition of 1,036 square feet of right-of-way at the corner of South 20th Street and Yates Alley for the I-83 widening project.
Thank you. Council members, are there any questions, comments, or concerns related to Resolution 28 of 2022? Seeing and hearing none, Mr. Parker, could you please call the vote?
Ms. Daniels. Ms. Green.
Yes.
Mr. Mattson.
Yes.
Mr. Majors.
Yes.
Ms. Rawls.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez
Yes.
and Ms. Bowers.
Yes,
Vote passes. Resolution 28 passes 7-0.
thank you. Next, we have Resolution 29 of 2022. Mr. Parker, could you please read it into the record?
Resolution 29, 2022. A resolution authorizing the city of Harrisburg to award funding in an amount not to exceed $40,000 to the Capital Area Greenbelt Association for the performance of maintenance on city-owned land in the Capital Area Greenbelt.
Thank you. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns related to Resolution 29 of 2022? Seeing and hearing none, Mr. Parker, could you please call the vote?
Ms. Daniels. Ms. Green.
Yes.
Mr. Mattson.
Yes.
Mr. Majors.
Yes.
Ms. Rawls.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
And Ms. Bowers.
Yes,
Resolution 29 passes 7-0.
thank you.
Unanimous.
Next, we have Resolution 30 of 2022. Mr. Parker, could you please read it into the record?
Resolution 30, 2022. A resolution authorizing the city of Harrisburg to negotiate and enter into a professional services agreement with Boyer and Ritter LLC to perform the city of Harrisburg's annual audit and financial report, DCED/CLGS/30, for the year ending December 31st, 2021, and an addendum to the professional services agreement related to completed 2020 annual audit.
Thank you. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns related to Resolution 30 of 2022?
Yes, Madam President. Is this something we traditionally outsource, or is that usually done in-house?
If I'm correct, it has to be done outsourced because the city can't audit itself.
right.
Everything will look great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing and hearing none, Mr. Parker, could you please call the vote?
Ms. Daniels. Ms. Green.
Yes.
Mr. Mattson.
Yes.
Mr. Majors.
Yes.
Ms. Rawls.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Bowers.
Yes,
Resolution 30, 2022 passes unanimously, 7-0.
Thank you. Next, we have Resolution 31 of 2022. Mr. Parker, could you please read it into the record?
Resolution 31, 2022. A resolution authorizing the submission of a grant application to the Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, C2P2 Park Rehabilitation and Development Subprogram for up to $250,000 for the purpose of raising more funds to develop Phase 2 of the Chutes and Ladders Playground in Reservoir Park.
Thank you. Resolution 31 of 2022 will move to the Parks, Recreation, and Enrichment Committee. Next, we have Resolution 32 of 2022. Mr. Parker, could you please read it into the record?
Resolution 32, 2022. A resolution authorizing the submission of a grant application to the Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, C2P2 Community Recreation and Conservation Planning Subprogram for up to $100,000 to help fund a Harrisburg City Parks Master Plan.
Thank you. Resolution 32 of 2022 will move to the Parks, Recreation, and Enrichment Committee. Next, we have Resolution 33 of 2022. Mr. Parker, could you please read it into the record?
Resolution 33, 2022. A resolution authorizing the city of Harrisburg to enter into a landowner grantee agreement with Capital Area Greenbelt Association, allowing the Capital Area Greenbelt Association to construct riparian forest buffers on the city's property.
Thank you. Resolution 33 of 2022 will move to the Parks, Recreation, and Enrichment Committee. Our final resolution this evening is Resolution 34 of 2022. Mr. Parker, could you please read it into the record?
Resolution 34, 2022. A resolution authorizing the submission of a grant application to the Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, C2P2 Rivers Conservation Subprogram for up to $1 million for funds to restore and rehabilitate the stream bed of Spring Creek.
Thank you. Resolution 34 of 2022 will move to the Parks, Recreation, and Enrichment Committee. We will now move to old business. Councilman Rodriguez.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to actually commend the administration for being on the scene for the displaced families on Allison Hill. It was just tremendous to see the team out there working. But to that point, CLEAC is something that the residents are bringing up quite frequently, which is the Citizens Law Enforcement Advisory Council. When I had first took over as the chair, I took over the work that at that time Chair Green was doing, a phenomenal job with getting that bill in confounds put together. So I wanted to see where we were with that and encourage the administration to definitely appoint those two individuals. Throughout the first 90 days of me taking my role as the chair, interviewed everyone that was on the book. So I wanted to see and communicated with council and Madam President as well. We actually submitted to the solicitor's office for a draft with the names and resumes we did have. So I wanted to see, would it be okay to ask even to that point? Could that be removed from the website? Because it could show that we're not ready, in which we are. We do have the individuals that are ready. But even to that point, once again, they're calling like, hey, what's going on? Or is it official? They feel like they're on standby. So I guess it was just more of a question to the administration. Is it something that's on the purview? I see the solicitor's office here. Is that something you would know now, or as far as CLEAC?
I wouldn't know right at this moment.
Okay,
I can get back
absolutely.
to you on
Thank
that
you.
one. Yeah,
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Rodriguez. We will now move to new business. Councilman Mattson.
Yes, thank you, President Bowers. Just a reminder that we will have our final public State Street meeting Wednesday, June 22nd at the Harrisburg School District Buildings, 1601 State Street from 6 to 8. This will operate a little differently than the previous ones. In this meeting, the administration will go in conjunction with Dalwood, will go over the feedback that we've gotten from the community thus far, and then what their proposed changes to the plan are. So folks that have really kind of been eager to get a final understanding of what some of these changes should look like are really encouraged to come out to this meeting. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Rodriguez.
If I may, Councilman Mattson, that is from 6 to
8.
16. Thank you.
Yep.
I just wanted to announce that the meal distribution for the seniors has been going well since the beginning of, it's not typically summer yet, but to the end of the school year. We've done about 3 initiatives, fed about 60 meals to the seniors. So thank you to all the seniors that came out, and just wanted to once again put it out for any council or administration that are available on July 1st or the 29th. We will be once again distributing hot meals to the seniors in the Uptown or Greater Harrisburg area. So please join us from 5 to 7 at the Heinz Medical Center.
Thank you, Councilman
Thank you.
Rodriguez. Councilwoman Rawls.
Thank you, President Bowers. I have 2 things for new business. One, Juneteenth is coming up on June 19th, and the city will be celebrating this holiday, this momentous time with the city of Harrisburg and Dauphin County will host a Juneteenth celebration on Saturday, June 18th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. On 2nd Street. There will be live music, food trucks, and vendors will be present as well. So I hope to see everybody out there on June 18th on 2nd Street. Another announcement that I had, there are 2 interns from the Goodwill Industries, and they are working with the Parks and Rec Department and Enrichment Department, for the next 8 weeks. These young adults will be learning workforce skills as interns with the Parks and Rec Department, Parks and Rec and Enrichment Department. So that's great news.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing, Councilwoman Ross.
You're welcome.
I have a few things before we adjourn. First, I would like to read a mayoral executive order that I received from the mayor. All council members received this prior to our meeting this evening. So please indulge me for a moment. City of Harrisburg, Office of the Mayor, Mayoral Executive Order number 7 of 2022. Executive Order of Wanda R.D. Williams in her official capacity as Mayor of the City of Harrisburg. Whereas I, Wanda R.D. Williams, Mayor of the City of Harrisburg, situated in Dauphin County, Pennsylvania, having been duly vested with full executive powers and authority for and on behalf of the City of Harrisburg, state and declare the following. Whereas Juneteenth is a date of great historical and cultural significance, marking the date in 1865, when news of the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation 2 years earlier by President Abraham Lincoln reached Galveston, Texas, the furthest point in the South, with the arrival of Union soldiers. And whereas commemoration of Juneteenth celebrates that event and further serves as an occasion to promote the advancement of unity, equality, and justice for all Pennsylvanians. And whereas on June 19th, 2019, the governor of Pennsylvania signed legislation designating June 19th as Juneteenth National Freedom Day and recognizing it as an annual observance in Pennsylvania. And whereas Juneteenth is currently recognized as a state and federal holiday. And so now I do hereby order and direct the following. The Martin Luther King Jr. City Government Center shall be closed on Monday, June 20th, 2022, other than for essential functions in support of the observance of Juneteenth. In witness whereof, I, Wanda R.D. Williams, Mayor of City of Harrisburg, have hereunto set my hand and seal this 14th day of June, 2022. Signed, Wanda R.D. Williams, Mayor of the City of Harrisburg. Next, I would like to take an opportunity to publicly thank Mr. Kirk Petrosky for serving as the city of clerk for the City of Harrisburg for 13 years. If you're listening, Mr. Petrosky, thank you for your service. We wish you the best of luck in all of your future endeavors. For the benefit of the public, effective Monday, June 13th, 2022, Mr. Michael Parker has been promoted to the role of city clerk for the City of Harrisburg. As you've heard, this week we celebrate Juneteenth, commemorating the emancipation from slavery while providing an opportunity to celebrate Black history and culture. Undoubtedly, Black history is American history, and Black people continue to shape American culture daily. Former President Barack Obama said it best: Juneteenth has never been a celebration of victory or an acceptance of the way things are. It's a celebration of progress. It's an affirmation that despite the most painful parts of our history, change is possible, and there is still so much work to do. This week, we pause to celebrate freedom, freedom of mind, freedom of expression through the arts, freedom of entrepreneurship by supporting Black-owned businesses, and freedom of spirit as we remember those who came before us and continue to blaze trails for those behind us. There are a number of opportunities to join in the celebration. Councilwoman Rawls mentioned the Juneteenth celebration co-hosted by the City of Harrisburg and Dauphin County. Juneteenth HBG, hosted by the Young Professionals of Color and other community partners, have developed a week-long celebration, which began last Sunday, June 12th, with a kickoff at the State Capitol building. Today, June 14th, the Juneteenth conference was held at HAC. Wednesday, June 15th at 6 p.m., the Black Theater Cafe will be held at Open Stage. Thursday, June 16th, from 6 to 10 p.m., Paint Noir will be held at the Carousel Pavilion on City Island. Friday, June 17th, the second annual Juneteenth HBG Business Discovery Walk and Restaurant Crawl will be held beginning at 6 p.m. Saturday, June 18th, from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., Healthy Harrisburg will host an event right outside of this building in front of the Martin Luther King Jr. City Government Center. Saturday evening, June 18th, there will be a free concert at XL Live featuring Bow Wow and Carrie Hilson beginning at 8 p.m. And on Sunday, June 19th, at 2 p.m., the Juneteenth Jubilee will serve as the culminating event at Reservoir Park. So we're hopeful that either during the remainder of the week or this weekend, you will be able to join in the celebration of Juneteenth. It is 8:08 p.m. At this time, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. We stand adjourned.